But first, the main evening news on BBC1 with Peter Sissons. It's 9 o'clock.
A defiant message from the IRA is seen by the government as a clear threat. As the terrorists appear to dash hopes of a renewed ceasefire, Sinn Fein insists it's not all doom and gloom. A service war in the supermarkets. Tesco create 4,500 new jobs to keep the shoppers happy. And the big clean-up of the South Wales beaches is ready for the test of the holiday rush. Good evening. The IRA put out their traditional Easter message today and made it plain that they were still fully committed to their traditional methods. The Northern Ireland Minister, Baroness Denton, said the threat meant people would have to look over their shoulder all through Easter. And the Ulster Unionist said it meant there would be no restoration of the ceasefire ahead of all-party talks. But references in the IRA statement to a willingness to help in developing conditions for meaningful negotiations, albeit free from preconditions, led nationalist politicians to be more hopeful. And the Sinn Féin President Gerry Adams insisted it was not all doom and gloom.
Belfast tonight looks and feels like any other city in the UK or the Irish Republic. The IRA ceasefire may be over, but the kind of violence that was visited on the most troubled city in Western Europe for 25 years has not returned yet. For there is a feeling here that it might just be a matter of time. With Ulster's marching season about to begin, a period that always highlights underlying tensions, and the IRA statement illustrated in Belfast's evening newspaper with a photograph from Crossmaglen, the tension is in the background but growing.
The reality of life is that since 9th of February there has not been a cessation of violence so far as the IRA is concerned. We saw what happened in London on the 9th of February, and sadly there would probably have been even more attacks had they not had the setback in their terms with the bombing on the bus at Aldwych. The reality of life is that there is no cessation currently, and certainly we here are policing on that basis.
But the Sinn Féin president said the IRA statement was not all doom and gloom, but realistic.
We all live with the reality of an end to a cessation, and therefore one could hear on the next news broadcast reports of some IRA operation. That's the reality of the situation. At the same time, the search and the need for a peace settlement remains as urgent today as it did 18 months ago, 18 years ago, last year.
But the main nationalist leader who helped engineer the IRA ceasefire in 1994 was looking for the positive.
I see a chink of light in it, in the sense that they say they're willing to help to create the conditions in which negotiations can take place that would lead to a comprehensive negotiated settlement. And I see that as a positive sign that it is still possible to restore the ceasefire.
The IRA statement made no mention of a new cessation. Indeed, in West Belfast today, a Republican mural underlined the readiness of the organisation to continue, as it puts it, asserting its rights by armed methods. Unionists have been highly critical, but say it shows the dilemma facing the IRA.
The IRA have indicated again and again that they're caught between a rock and a hard place. They can't achieve military victory. They cannot participate with their very small mandate in the democratic process and hope to achieve their objectives.
The ceasefire ended with the IRA bombing in London's Docklands in February. 2 months later, work to restore the fabric of the area was continuing today. So far, the only attacks involving explosives have been in the capital. The IRA does face a dilemma. Once again to call off its campaign so Sinn Féin can take part in talks starting in June, or to continue with the present position, thereby ensuring no Republican involvement in the only negotiations available. Dennis Murray, BBC News, Belfast.
Investigators examining the plane crash in which the American Commerce Secretary Ron Brown was killed say it happened after the plane veered badly off course on its approach to landing. US officials said 35 people were on board the plane when it crashed just outside the Croatian city of Dubrovnik. Rescue workers say there are no survivors.
The weather closed in again for a second day. Heavy rain and thick fog on the mountain. It was up there that the aircraft crashed on a failed approach to the airport. The site was closed off today to all but the search teams, not rescue, because the Croatian authorities confirmed that there were no survivors. The military 737 broke into two on impact. One woman was found alive in the tail section, but died on her way to hospital. Some of the dead have already been brought down from the mountain. Others are being ferried in NATO helicopters used normally for service in Bosnia. The crash site on a 2,300-foot mountain is otherwise close to inaccessible.
From where we were, the end of this road, there is still a large distance before you can even get anywhere near the aircraft. So no, even from the end of the road, the plane is still not visible.
The search operation was conducted jointly by Croatian police and special forces and troops, mostly American, assigned to the implementation force in Bosnia. The American ambassador, Peter Galbraith, was among those visiting the scene.
This is a very sad day and a very sad place. My sympathies, and I think everybody's, go to the families of our friends and colleagues, including the two Croatians that were on the plane.
The tragedy on the mountain has its political costs, and later he spoke of those.
Secretary Brown, the business executives with him, the Commerce Department employees, and the flight crew came on an important mission. And that mission was to show to the people of Bosnia and of Croatia that peace pays real dividends.
But though the crash occurred near a former front line, it was not an accident of war. From the lie of the land and the weather, this looks like a weather-related accident, pure and simple, and the weather that caused it is hampering the search in rain and fog on the mountain. Martin Bell, BBC News, above Dubrovnik Airport.
Britain's biggest supermarket chain, Tesco, says it's recruiting 4,500 full and part-time staff solely to help shoppers. They'll unload trolleys, pack bags and carry them to cars. The move's being seen as another twist in the so-called supermarket wars. Rival chains claim they provide a similar service already.
Tesco's move is the latest shot in an intense competitive battle. Britain has so many supermarkets now, they have to fight on price and the quality of service to keep their customers, let alone find new ones. Ever hungry for publicity, Tesco said today it'd be spending £20 million this year on its new customer assistance.
The only job they'll do is look after customers, helping them unload trolleys, helping them to back bags, maybe popping to find a product that they've forgotten. For disabled customers, they'll often do the shopping for them. Give them information, ask them how they've got on the shopping trip.
But rivals were not letting Tesco steal the initiative. All stores know that after low prices, it's reducing checkout stress that matters to customers, and all say they're helping.
It's good to know that the competition are catching up, actually, something that we did last year. We invested £30 million, and if you use the same calculation, it's roughly 5,000 people we put in last year to do the same thing. It's good to know that they're trying to catch up.
The battle for market share between the large supermarkets is almost personal. Argyle, trading as Safeway and Presto, and Asda have just over 7% of the market each. But the real battle is between Sainsbury with 13% and Tesco, which last year achieved the biggest share of the market. But Tesco's sales are not so impressive given its large number of stores. For each square foot of floor space, it sells just over £800 of goods a year, a far less effective performance than Sainsbury. Retail analysts think Sainsbury's effectiveness explains why it's been quieter than Tesco's in big new PR initiatives.
Well, Sainsbury is generating sales almost £1,000 per square foot per annum. That is so much more than its nearest competitor. It's almost 20% more than Tesco. So Sainsbury really would be very hard-pressed to get more customers through its stores, whereas Tesco could.
Supermarkets in Britain are still making plenty of money, and the service improvements they're boasting about now are actually routine in some other countries. So as the battle between the big players heats up, more jobs and still better deals for customers are in sight. Evan Davis, BBC News.